Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. In this video, I'm going to call for a more objective approach to assessing allegations of sexual misconduct, especially in the view of what's happened to Judge Kavanaugh. So this judge in the United States, he's been nominated by President Trump to the Supreme Court, and he was going to go through his congressional hearings. However, there's a bit of a spanner in the works for him. Even though it's a Republican-dominated Congress, he may well not get his seat. A woman named Dr. Christine Blasey Ford has come forward and claims that when he was 17, he attempted to rape her. She was then 15 years of age. This is going back to 1982. Now, a great deal of time has passed. It's one person's word against another. If I were a juror, I'd most certainly have to acquit on this basis. Even if he did do this, we might say, well, it was such a long time ago, perhaps we shouldn't proceed. The statute of limitations. Now, where I come from, there is no statute of limitations. I believe there ought to be, unless it's like murder, kidnapping, or enslaving people. I would prosecute really no matter how long afterwards. For anything less, including this, I wouldn't prosecute actually. And I'm not sure which state this allegedly occurred in, whether there's a statute of limitations there. Moreover, he was a minor at the time. This woman was even younger than he was. So a lot of people do foolish things when they're young. This is quite bad. Now, he allegedly tried to remove a piece of her clothing. Which piece of clothing? They were in a house party. I think alcohol was consumed. Does that mitigate the wrongdoing? Well, some say no. You should be punished twice. I think it was Aristotle said, once for the action and second for being so foolish as to get drunk if you can't control yourself. So people didn't enforce such age limits as stringently back in the 80s. Perhaps they should have. Attempted to remove which piece of clothing? Her jacket? Well, that wouldn't be so bad. If it was her knickers, well, that would be a different matter. Had been any consensual sexual conduct leading up to this? I don't know. Because if people have been snogging, then someone might want to go to the next stage, could at least try. That might be rejected and so on. People weren't so, how to put it, stringent about these things. So aware of these things in the 80s. Nowadays in the United States, it seems a complete minefield. And there are all sorts of rules about sexual harassment, and there has to be positive consent to get to the next step. And there's such histrionics about it. And many ultra-feminists have seemed to try and make it almost impossible to have a heterosexual relationship, because one has to make overtures verbally or physically. And how do you know? You don't know whether it's going to be accepted until it's made. Try and interpret a facial expression. People misread these things, especially if the lights are low, especially if alcohol's been taken. People are optimistic. People chance their arm, not sure whether their advance is going to be accepted or rejected. Some people are willing to have a certain level of contact, not beyond a particular level. They might not be sure what they're willing to do, might change their minds. So these are very much grey areas. Anyway, if it is true, should this prevent him being on the Supreme Court? Most people would say so. But it can't be proven either way. It doesn't look good for him. This woman is fairly credible because she's a very reputable academic. She's not made any false accusations before, so far as I know, isn't completely mentally healthy. I don't think she's trying to seek compensation and so on. But what if it was on the balance of probabilities? Would I go for this? I might do if it was a civil suit. But anyway, no one should be blocked from gaining preferment on the basis of something which is unproven. Anyway, some shock jocks like Tucker Carlson, I think it's Laurie and Graham, have come out and said the whole thing's fallacious and that she's just doing this because he doesn't support Roe versus Wade and things like that. So I don't think they'll get any evidence to say that. I don't know what the woman's political opinions are. But even if they are diametrically opposed to this man, that doesn't prove that it's because that she's making these accusations because she does not see eye to eye with him politically. This is a post hoc fallacy that they are advancing. So one Democratic politician, that I think it's a senator from Hawaii, she said, women need to be believed. Well, they don't need to be believed or disbelieved, nor do men need to be believed or disbelieved. We shouldn't be taking sides. We should be tranquil and we should dispassionately evaluate the evidence. Obviously, a court would really do this, and it shouldn't be done with trial by television with a very shrill tone, with chat show hosts and politicians trying to gain yardage from this kind of thing. Capitalizing on allegations of this nature is deeply distasteful. So we all know that rape and sexual assault are always crimes, but then there are these rules about sexual harassment. What's harassment? I know it's a tricky thing because something that's unwanted. How do you know it's unwanted until you've said it, have done it? What signals can men and women send to each other, or indeed men to men, women to women, which are acceptable? How do we draw up a code of conduct for that? So I think often we make a mountain out of a molehill. People are going to be attracted to each other. Sometimes these feelings will not be reciprocated. People will send certain signals. Sometimes they'll be rejected. They'll be misunderstood. Things like that. Someone, you might not realize someone desires you because they might be too subtle about it. So please, let's not use a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Right? These are not hanging offences. People sometimes do things which are unwise, which are disreputable. We shouldn't overreact. Now, obviously, attempted rape is different. That's not mere flirting in a way that's unwanted. And it touches on Judge Kavanaugh knowing another judge who allegedly sent sexually explicit jokes while on his work computer and things like that. Judge Kavanaugh claimed to know absolutely nothing about this correspondence from his close colleague and dear friend, which is not quite credible. Judge Kavanaugh is willfully blind, seems to suffer selective amnesia and so on. That in itself ought to rule him out of being a judge. So what chat-up lines are allowed according to extreme feminists? What are we actually allowed to do? Can you produce a manual or rule book? I know actually with the internet it has become easier because people are on there with a view to forming a romantic relationship. The trouble is when people go to a nightclub or something, that to some extent is a mating ritual. That's what dancing is about. I know some people are just doing it to have fun, or they might well have a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever. But some people there are there strutting their stuff, to show off, to show how desirable they are, to ideally find a mate. So we have to expect that people will be approached like that. And people shouldn't be horrified if someone does make an approach to them this way. So we've got to regain our sense of proportion. And obviously face-to-face dating is problematic these days. And I think it's terrible people get in big trouble for desiring other people, for indicating that orally or with their with signals, touching someone, touching where, touching their hand, touching their shoulder, that might be okay. And so it's very difficult to decide what constitutes harassment. So we shouldn't overreact to people doing things which are sometimes unwise. If it's persistent, if a person's been warned, I don't like your behaviour, please stop. If that's definitely the case and that person continues to irritate the other with such behaviour, or if that's different, they should get warnings, some sort of disciplinary procedure. If it's really persistent, eventually to be dismissed, but they don't need to be paid millions for having been subjected to behaviour which is questionable. Anyway, how much happiness we're missing out on because people are not willing to flirt or not willing to receive such signals, and all sorts of relationships we're not going to have. People often met their husband or wife through work, and now it's more than your career is worth to have a romantic interest in a member of the opposite sex or even your own sex in a work situation. So I think it's an awful pity, actually. Anyway, one thing we need to introduce to this is a non-partisan approach. I think the best example of just how ludicrously politicised this was during Donald Trump's election campaign. So he obviously went on Billy Bush's show, knowing it was recorded, and he boasted about touching a vagina against a woman's will. That's how shameless he was, that he was so confident he could commit this crime that he would be recorded admitting it. And then about 20 women came forward, all telling similar stories over decades about how they'd been sexually assaulted by Donald Trump. Extremely credible. And Trump was denied all. And so then who did he have to back him up? Several women who'd accused Bill Clinton of similar crimes. So if you're a Republican, Trump's accusers must be liars, Clinton's accusers must be truth tellers. But if you're a Democrat, Clinton's accusers must be liars and Trump's accusers must be truth tellers. It's preposterous. We don't have to assess these things on a political basis, refract it through a prism of political prejudice. You know, someone could have the same political views as you and have molested others. They can have completely different political views to you and be innocent as a lamb despite these accusations. So we should stop misusing it. People are trying to weaponize it for electoral purposes. It's not that one party are angels and the others are devils. Someone on your side can do wrong. Someone on the other side might be false accused. We've also got to have severe penalties for those who false accuse, who cause such grief and to innocent people. We could have innocent people pay ruinous fines, go to prison, and obviously they undermine the credibility of those who are making true allegations. So that's what we need. We need a depoliticized and non-partisan approach to assessing things, and people should not be trying to use it as a political football.